Today, the Ecuadorian parliament has been dissolved. Global temperatures are set to increase, TikTok is banned in Montana, and a new Earth-sized planet is discovered. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Thursday, the 18th of May, 2023. Ecuador's embattled president, Guillermo Lasso, has dissolved the country's opposition-controlled National Assembly amid an impeachment trial, a move likely to trigger protests from Lasso's opponents. Lasso's triggering of the so-called mutual death clause means that he'll rule by decree for up to 6 months until early elections for president and parliament are held. The measure has been described as a nuclear option and has never been used since its introduction in 2008. So why was Lasso in the process of being impeached? Lasso was first elected in 2021 and became Ecuador's first conservative president in almost 2 decades. He's accused of knowing about an alleged embezzlement scheme relating to an oil shipping contract signed in 2018 between a private business and a state-run company. This, on top of a cost of living crisis and rising violence, has contributed to a fall in Lasso's approval ratings to record lows. As for the allegations, Lasso denies them. During his impeachment trial in the National Assembly, he decried the accusations as politically motivated and said the alleged embezzlement happened before he came into office. A final note on whether to impeach and unseat him was expected to take place later this week, and he faced a significant chance of being ousted. So it's in that context that Lasso triggered the constitutional mechanism, saying this is a democratic decision, not only because it's constitutional, but because it returns the power to the Ecuadorian people to decide their future in the next elections. Armed soldiers quickly surrounded the National Assembly to prevent lawmakers, who technically aren't lawmakers anymore, from entering. Presumably this was to prevent what happened in neighbouring Peru in December last year, when then-President Pedro Castillo attempted to dissolve Parliament amid his own impeachment trial. Lawmakers met regardless, removed him from office, and he was subsequently arrested on rebellion charges. The key difference is that Castillo's move would have dissolved Parliament and kept himself in power for the remainder of his term, whereas Lasso's move this week means he'll have to face an early election this year. The head of Ecuador's army said Lasso's decision was constitutional and that the country will not accept any attempt to disrupt the constitutional order and democracy through violence. President Lasso's move has been slammed by some, including the powerful Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities, whose leader said Lasso had launched a cowardly self-coup with the help of the people and the armed forces, without citizen support. Left-wing opposition leader and former president Rafael Correa tweeted that Lasso's move was illegal, but that the new election would be a great opportunity to get rid of Lasso, his government, and his rented assembly members, and recover the country. There's more on the way, but be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to make the daily briefing part of your daily routine, or just search for us on your podcast app to listen along. The World Meteorological Organization has warned that global temperatures are likely to surge to record levels in the next 5 years, fueled by heat-trapping greenhouse gases and a naturally occurring El Niño weather pattern. According to the WMO, there's a 66% likelihood that over the next 5 years, the average global temperature will be higher than 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels for at least 1 year. The 2015 Paris Agreement saw governments commit to trying to keep long-term global temperatures below that 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. Scientists have pointed out that a potential rise above 1.5 degrees in the next 5 years would be temporary, due to the combination of the El Niño weather phenomenon and human-induced climate change. Nevertheless, it would be the first time in history, and an indication that as we start having these years with 1.5 degrees happening more and more often, then we're getting closer to having the actual long-term climate beyond that threshold. So that's what's been happening in climate news today. Let's move and discuss what's been happening in relation to TikTok. TikTok has been banned in the US state of Montana. Republican Governor Greg Gianforte signed a bill into law on Wednesday to ban the app and accused the Chinese Communist Party of using TikTok to spy on Americans and violating their privacy. This was voted for by 54 legislators, with 43 voting against. The ban will come into force on January the 1st, 2024, and from then on, any app store offering TikTok in the state could face an initial fine of $10,000 per violation and then $10,000 for every day that a violation continues. Montana, with a population of 1.1 million, is the first US state to legislate for a full ban on the app, and it's fair to say that TikTok isn't happy. They say the ban violates the First Amendment and is therefore unconstitutional. The American Civil Liberties Union also criticised the bill for, quote, trampling on the free speech of hundreds of thousands of Montanans in the name of anti-Chinese sentiment. If you want more content like this from TLDR, then make sure you check out Nebula, where each week we release a roundup of what's been happening in Westminster in our series This Week in Parliament. Scientists have found another planet in the Milky Way, about 86 light-years away from Earth. The planet is Earth-sized and rugged and rocky, with near-constant eruptions tormenting the planet. It's believed that the planet is covered with volcanoes, and strangely, the planet also doesn't rotate, meaning that one side is always in daylight and the other side is in darkness. On the bright side, it's believed that it's too hot for water to exist in liquid form, and on the dark side, it's believed that there's a large icy glacier. The region where the light and dark side meet is called the Terminator region. This is where liquid water could exist. The surface temperature of the planet is thought to be slightly above that of Earth, and it's believed that it completes an elliptical journey around its red dwarf star in only 2.8 days. The planet was spotted thanks to NASA's Transitioning Exoplanet Survey satellite and the Spitzer Space Telescope. That's all we have time for on YouTube, but the briefing isn't over. That's because I sat down with Rory to quiz him on this week's events. It says in the question, happy birthday, you're hopeless.
What was the last one? What was the second one?
Okay.
What was the first one? And the third. And what was the fourth?
You're missing the second, which was
Yeah.
at a Florida Keys lodge for scuba divers. For scuba divers.
Scuba divers.
I don't know. I just didn't expect him to be in a Volkswagen Golf.
Well, at least she was. You can cut this bit
We've
out.
lost Rory. Oh, it's not going well. In the extended, ad-free edition of the Daily Briefing, only on Nebula. That's the streaming service we're building with a bunch of our creator friends, many of whom you're likely to be already watching. That means that by signing up, you not only get an extended ad-free daily briefing every single day, you also get to watch exclusive and ad-free videos from the best educational creators on YouTube. That's things like Real Life Law's incredible Modern Conflicts, which breaks down contemporary disputes around the world, Neo's Underexposure, which beautifully dives into complex and shadowy topics you've always wanted to know more about, or Extremities from Wendover Productions, which uncovers some of the world's most remote places. All of these are only available on Nebula, just like our extended daily briefings and a whole bunch of other exclusive TLDR content which never comes to YouTube. If you want to sign up, use the link in the description so that they know you came through us. That helps us out a whole lot, as does watching on Nebula more generally. So thanks for signing up, and we'll see you on Nebula.